Hello everyone, Jared Tyler Pettit here. Today I'm going to start the first of a series of guitar setups for beginners. This kind of does go for some intermediate stuff too, just depending on what your knowledge of working on a guitar is. So, first subject is something that kind of pertains to everyone needs to be doing this all the time, especially touring musicians. If you're traveling, your guitar may not play the same in every city. You notice you take it out, it starts buzzing with frets, it just doesn't feel right, and then you have all kinds of issues. What we're talking about is neck relief. Something pretty simple, but I think a lot of people are scared to do just because they don't want to fuck it up, but pretty easy. So let's get into it. I'll show you how it's done. Alright, so we're going to show you how to set the relief in the neck. You only need a couple basic tools, screwdriver, whatever you really need to take the cover to the truss rod off, a set of Allen wrenches depending on where your guitar is made. If it's overseas, especially if it's Asian made, you're going to need a system of metric system ones. If it's made in America, sometimes it'll be a standard set, but that just depends on where the manufacturer of the truss rods are. So have both on hand, and then you can get at a hardware store, anywhere, a set of feeler gauges, which kind of sucks because you're not going to use most of these ever, but you can, change your spark plugs. Anyway, it's pretty much all you need. Now anytime, especially if you're a touring musician, whenever you're going from one state to another, what's going to happen is, since this fretboard is not sealed, plus the wood just being a natural live thing, it's going to react to anything from humidity changes, barometric pressure changes, heat and cold changes as well too. So it's going to acclimate to that and literally shrink or expand the wood accordingly. So anytime you get to a new city, what you want to do is take this out of your, open the case, let it sit for about an hour so it acclimate, and it's going to do most of the moving that it's going to do, and then you can adjust it. If you adjust it immediately without letting it acclimate, it's going to continue to move. So, alright, so first thing you need to do is, say after you change your strings, or if you just opened it, you actually want to put a capo on the first fret, eliminate the nut, because you just need to measure this part of the neck. If you don't have a capo, a lot of people have these. Musicians a lot of times have long hair, so hair ties and a pencil, your best friend. Wrap it around. Alright, boom. Capo at the first fret. Now, then what you want to do is hold down the fret right above the body joint, because that's where you're going to have the neck bend at. Once it's connected to the body, there's enough meat, or if it's a bolt on, it's not moving there. So measuring from here isn't going to work right. So you hold this down. All right, now the string becomes your straight edge here. So you probably may not be able to see this in the video very well, but there's a slight bow to this neck and there's a space in between there. So what you want to do is find kind of the middle distance between these 2 points, which is about my 9th or 10th fret. And you're going to take these feeler gauges, you're going to move it in between the fret and the string, and you want to gauge the space of it. So on a standard setup, you pretty much want about 15 thousandths of an inch bow on there. Some people like it flatter than others, just depends, but that's going to change where your bridge needs to go up or down accordingly, because it's going to lower your strings to the fretboard. So especially in a pandemic and you guys ain't got much to do, I would say play around with this with a little bit flatter neck, see what you like. Some people like it flatter, some people don't. I wouldn't go more than about 15 thousandths bow on a 6 string. 8 strings you can probably get away with a little more, because how big the low strings are. In bass you can get up to about 20. Still don't necessarily need it. I have a 5-string bass and I only have 15 thousandths of an inch and it works fine, but play around with it, see what you like. So we're gonna come over here to 15 thousandths. All right, like I said, hold that fret down above the body joint, find your midpoint, and you want to slide it in at the angle of the fret. If you're doing this, it's gonna catch immediately. Doesn't help. So just want to slide it, and what you want is for it to go under but not hit the string, or just barely graze it. You don't want to see that string move up or down. Now if you have it at 15 thousandths, you go and you hit the string and it pops up, that means you don't have enough bow in the neck. It's too flat and there's not enough space. If you go and there's a big gap, then obviously there's too much bow, you need to straighten it out. So this is where take your Allen wrench. I already have this set up, so I'm not actually going to turn this, but you want righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Everybody knows that, right? So righty-tighty is going to tighten the truss rod's pull on it, and it's going to flatten your neck out. If you loosen it, it's going to give more bow. Now sometimes, depending on just the wood, you're going to need to tighten left, which sounds weird, but it will actually make the truss rod pull the neck the other direction into a front bow. If you're working on a vintage instrument, isn't necessarily going to be that way. A lot of the vintage instruments only had a one-way truss rod, not a two-way, but so be it. A lot of times you still don't have that problem usually. So you adjust that, and now what I suggest too is each instrument's a little different on if it has, what kind of neck it has, how stable the wood is of the neck, and if it has any carbon fiber reinforcement rods. So what I always suggest is when you're moving the truss rod, go quarter turn at a time, check it again. So every time you do a quarter turn, you're gonna have to retune it because it's either gonna make the strings go flat or sharp depending on which way it goes, and that's going to change your tension here. So if your tension on the strings is too tight, it's not gonna portray accurately what's really going on. So you have to retune after every time that you tighten that. So I guess if when you're done, slide it, at that angle of the fret, boom, you're good. So yeah, that's how you check relief. So that way, whenever you get to a new venue in a new city, you're not gonna have problems with it buzzing because the neck flattened out, strings went real low to the fretboard and start buzzing. So now if you change strings and you have buzz, it can be one of two things a lot of the time. It can be too much bow, because I had a friend that just had that same problem, and it was too bowed here, so when you press it down, it was, you know, obviously I'll give you representation. If it's too bowed here, you press here, this is going to go further down into the higher section of the frets and cause it to buzz there too. If you have too much of a back bow, it's going to be the same thing. It's all going to get string too close to the fret and buzz. So well, there's your kind of basics of that. All right, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications for when I'm doing more. And if you have any suggestions on what you would like to see me cover in setups, hit me up in a comment. All right, everybody have a good week.